Hey, welcome back. The submarine story is really bad news, but in my humble opinion, who knows nothing about submarines, the way that it's been reported on TV is really bad news. So today, let's deep dive, sorry I couldn't resist that, into the bad reporting and some of the fascinating engineering aspects of what it's like to build and recover a submarine. So this is how the media are covering the story.
Good evening. A race against time tonight to find a tourist sub that's vanished thousands of metres below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. A frantic search now underway for the vessel, with oxygen fast running out.
Constructing a story to trigger an emotional response from their viewers, but not actually saying what's going on. I'm finding the news reporting on this tragic story very frustrating. Myself and engineering friends want to know how the submarine was built, what probably went wrong, why it can't be found, and when the craft is rediscovered, how are they going to bring it up to the surface? There's lots of very hard questions that need good answers. But you've got to watch this amazing footage. Building a pressure vessel that can go to the bottom of the ocean is hard. It needs to be forged out of solid titanium. This is a sequence from a beautifully made engineering film, link in the description, about building another submersible submarine. Look at what they had to do. So I'm sure this lost submersible went through some of the same processes. But here's a clip from their promotional film that slightly worries me personally about how the craft is piloted underwater.
We've taken a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board just in case.
Really? A game controller and Bluetooth? I think once a week, this very expensive Apple Magic Trackpad loses Bluetooth communication with my editing software. That's not critical, but it's a little annoying. I don't think you'd fly an airplane with the controls connected to the ailerons with Bluetooth. But what do I know? I certainly would want a manual override system, a hatch that you could open up in the pressure vessel with a button that says up. And an aviation expert and friend of mine made a really good point. So myself and Scott Manley, when he's flying his Cirrus SR-20 or my little Cessna, we both have something called an ELT, or an emergency locator transmitter. It's mandatory. It runs off a 9-volt battery and it works a bit like an airbag. There's a wee ball in a cage, and if you turn your airplane upside down or you crash, sorry, bad Scott Manley accent, it sends out a ping, and then the search and the rescue people can come and find you. I'm sure Scott Manley's ELT also has GPS coordinates. Mine just went ping, but it did go ping every minute to help you be located. Why, oh why didn't the lost submarine have a sonar pinger? As soon as it's put in the water, it sends out a continual ka-ping, ka-ping, and it's on all the time until it comes back up and you turn it off. So if you ever lose communication, your PlayStation Game Boy disconnects, at least you know where the damn thing is. And this brings me on to potential recovery systems. And again, this has been really badly covered by the news. How are you going to bring the guy back up? US and NATO and probably international submarines have a docking system. So if they sink to the bottom, there is a docking station which is mated to a submarine that can latch on and let people go into a rescue pod, or it could lift the submarine even. I don't see on the outside of it any internationally recognized international docking system. But there's a way around that. The US Navy needs to recover things without docking pods from the bottom of the ocean, mainly crashed airplanes. And they have these two systems. This system is an ROV with arms that can wrap cables or entangle the object before it's lifted up. And this recovery system seems to work in a more sophisticated way. It goes down and actually welds itself to a metal object. I think that might take a while, but you can weld underwater. But there's a big problem. Let's go back to the Lost Submarines promotional film, and you can clearly see that it's covered with what looks like carbon fiber shell, and there's probably a titanium inner hull. How do you weld onto carbon fiber? You don't. How do you remove the carbon fiber to get into the inner pressure vessel, which is made of metal? Oh, I don't know. I think it's going to be really hard. But as I said at the start, I know nothing about submarines, but I do like asking the big question. And I'm also in a unique position for you to criticize news reporting, because that's my background. So that's all I'm going to say. I want better reporting, engineering, and a bigger picture view of what's really going on. So I'm going to end today with a tragic personal story that I was involved with and how badly the news actually reports engineering. Most of you will remember that during the Gulf conflict, there were these things. They're called Scud missiles, and they were being fired on Israel. The USA stepped in and helped Israel by installing Patriot missile batteries on its borders that have the potential of being able to shoot down an incoming missile. And they were very successful. Most Scuds were being shot out of the sky. So BBC News were sent to interview the brave men and women who were shooting down the Scud missiles with great skill. So this BBC News reporter turns up at this Patriot missile control center. I mean, it's just basically a truck, and says, "Wow, you guys are so brilliant. You see the Scuds coming over and you managed to fly your missiles up and target them and explode it, protecting Israel. Well done. How do you do it?" We were all watching this, wondering what was going to happen next. I worked for BBC News and Current Affairs at the time. The two Americans rolled their eyes and said, "We press this button called fire." And you could see that the reporter went, "Oh, it's automated?" Yeah. The reporter had literally got the wrong end of the stick, which is a good British term. All the Patriot missile crew do is see an incoming Scud missile and press fire. Even that might be automated. The BBC News reporter's reaction was like, "Oh." And we all laughed. That's what we are seeing today with this submarine story. We need the real engineering. We need to ask some big questions. We don't just want, is the air going to run out, and the emotional story. We actually want to know what's going on, because the truth is out there.